age would understand why it's not that big a deal to me right now. But I figure when I get to be 3/4 of a century old, then I'm going to start looking. In a divorce, who gets the children? Well, now that varies. That varies. Again, there's a lot of cultural interpretations as far as this goes, and there are some countries where I know that they would say the man does, and there are other interpretations where the woman does. But for the most part, it is agreed that the female child will stay with the mother until the time that the mother remarries. And then at that point, the female child would go to the mother or the father. That's the most widely accepted. And this has certain benefits in that there's a very high rate of sexual abuse of little girls by stepfathers, unfortunately. It's knowledge that is becoming more and more apparent. Do women have the right to vote in Muslim lands? Well, like I said, now let's separate Islam and culture. And the United States is Muslim lands. Okay, I live here and I have the right to vote. Yes, in Islam, no matter where it is, the woman has a right to express her opinion. She has a right to be heard. The companion, the Caliph Omar, who was a companion of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, accepted correction from women and changed the verdict, changed the law that he was about to implement because of a woman speaking out. Yes, women have the right to express their opinion in whatever system, and a right to be heard and to have their opinions accepted equally with men.
Yeah, this one is a very short and a very nice question. Can the woman be a leader of a nation? If not, why?
Somebody connecting this to Benazir? There is one position that is denied to a woman, and that is the position of imam. Okay? A woman cannot lead prayers in front of a man. That is the one position that is denied to a woman. I, on this, will go further, though, and put forward my personal opinion and personal feelings regarding a woman being the head of state. Especially if that woman has small children. On the day of judgment, I have to answer before Allah for my children. I do not have to answer for the rest of you. But I have to answer for my children. Now, if I have had a cesarean section so that I won't miss an important political event, if I'm not there when my child has pneumonia, if I have a second cesarean section in order to not miss an important political event, then my children have very little importance. I think it's very difficult to give a country what it has a right to demand of its leader and to give your children what they have a right to have too. So I think that if a woman is determined to be a leader, then she shouldn't have children. She doesn't have a right to those children because those children have a right over the mother too. Children do not deserve to be cast off and thrown in to be taken care of by this person and that person and whoever.
What about the father?
Same thing, except it's a woman that's usually home with the children, not the father, okay? It's a woman who bears the child. It's a woman who breastfeeds the child. Benazir Bhutto used to be a leader in Pakistan. She has pronounced that she's a Muslim, yes. 2 cesareans.
Experience.
Not required, either one of them, medically. They were both done by choice, one not to miss an election, the other one not to miss a state dinner. And that was wrong. Check in your newspapers, you'll even find it's true. Okay?
We have lost track of something very important, and that is the importance of our children. Okay, if I am going to have children, or I am going to give them to someone else to be raised, they're not going to have my principles and my ideals and my ways of thinking and feeling. They're going to have the other person's. They virtually become the children of that other person, not mine. And on this I can speak from experience with one child who was raised by babysitters, because I was working all the time. And I look at that child, and that child does not have the same attitudes and principles and ideals as what his brothers and sisters had. That child also isn't as secure. A child is not as happy. A child has a lot more problems. The number one priority, if you're going to take the responsibility for having children, then take the responsibility for having children. Children are not toys. They're not something to be just enjoyed a little bit. Children are a serious responsibility. If you don't want the responsibility, don't take it. If you'd rather have a different kind of responsibility, fine, take the other kind of responsibility. But don't make the children suffer because you want and think you can have both. It's not possible. And if you think it is, you're lying to yourself. You go out and you do some study. You look at the situations amongst our youth right now, and you look at what's happened to the family. You look at the suicide rates among little children. I'm not talking about teenagers, I'm talking about little children. The drug abuse, the latchkey children, all of the other terrible things that are going on with our children. Yeah, in other cases, it's not the fault of the woman. She hasn't had a choice, and whether she worked or not, it's been a matter of survival. But many times, the woman has made the choice to put her child second to her career. I don't believe that any woman should put her child second to anything, nor should a man. Your career could be put on hold until your child gets older, unless there's economic reasons. This is a personal opinion, okay? So you can hate me, not Islam, for this, all right? In Islam, the only thing a woman can't do is to lead prayer. Other than that, that's the only thing that's itemized.
Yes, Sister Amina, this is not a question. You come in and the person says that I don't have a question, but I think that you should mention that polygamy can only be obtained with permission of the first wife, and husband has to keep perfect regularity between all. So, perfect equality between all.
It has to be just between them, absolutely.
Now the question.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, a woman's rights are well written in the Quran. Why I heard, watched, and read so much that women are treated so as second-class citizens in Saudi Arabia and other Arabian countries. Why women over there do not get their rights?
Part of what you read in some countries is true, okay? We're having a struggle with this. We're having a real serious fight with this because during the period of colonialization, our people got very far away from Islamic knowledge, and they were copying the ruling people on how the rights were supposed to be, they thought. So they moved away from it a great deal. But part of it is a cultural interpretation. It's the way we see things from our eyes. Okay? There are those of you who will look at the way I'm dressed and will find that to be oppressive. But who is to say what is oppressive to me but me? You know, I could look at you and say the way you're dressed is oppressive. But to you it isn't, and to me this isn't. Some people look at the number of women, Muslim women in Arab countries, in Pakistani countries, in whatever countries you want to, the number of Muslim women who choose, keyword choose, to stay at home and raise their children rather than going out to work, as if working is equated with liberation, or bearing our bodies is
equated with liberation. It's the way you look at things, okay? It's through the eyes that you see. If you want to see how oppressed I am, you have to look at me through my eyes. If you want to see how liberated I am, by looking at me through my eyes. What you see is not what someone else sees. Just as when you look at one person, that person may be very handsome, while another person will look at that person and find it to be disgusting.
Yeah, you answered a number of questions about marriage and polygamy. This one is different. The question is, do you have faith in Khomeini movement? You said that when you became Muslim, your husband divorced you. Please explain. What if a woman does not believe in polygamy and she is a Muslim?
Okay, the first one doesn't in any way relate to women, so I'm going to avoid getting involved in political discussions at this time. I'll be willing to discuss politics at another time. Tonight is dedicated to women, okay? My husband was a non-Muslim. We were very happy together. He is a very beautiful man. He is a wonderful man. You know, I really am not going to fault him in any way. He is a beautiful man, but he could not deal with the changes that occurred in me. I do not drink alcohol. He's very fond of going out on Fridays and Saturday nights, and I reached a point where I could not accompany him. I really did not like having the alcohol in the house. I became more modest in my dress. He didn't like the modesty in my dress either. He liked it much better when I was running around half naked in public. There was a lot of differences that came between us. And we ended up having to have a divorce. We just could not make it together. It was impossible. Initially, the divorce was pretty ugly and pretty bitter because he fought me tooth and nail. And his church financed his divorce action. In the divorce papers, in the court papers, you will read some very beautiful phrases. The unorthodox religion would be detrimental to the development of the children. This is a country where we have religious freedom. And I don't know what makes Islam unorthodox, but whatever. Multiple languages spoken in the home would be detrimental to the development of the children. This happened in a state where they had bilingual education. Of course, it was the wrong language that we were using in my home. They had so many things, so much misinformation about Islam in the divorce papers that it was absolutely phenomenal. The last day of the divorce, I was given the choice to renounce Islam or renounce my children. I did neither. I left my children in the hands of Allah, but I would not renounce my religion, so they tore my children away from me. And it was a very painful experience, extremely painful. My ex-husband put my children in Catholic schools just to try and protect them from Islam. It didn't work. In spite of being in Catholic schools and having supervised visitation with their mother, very short-term visitations with their mother, 5 weeks out of the year, my children decided they preferred Islam. Alhamdulillah. And my children know that I did not renounce them or desert them, but the legal system of this country found Islam to be so objectionable that they would not let me raise my children. The only thing that was wrong with me was I was a Muslim. Now, it did not matter that the children were going to live in the home with 2 alcoholics, one who had tried repeatedly to kill themselves. That was considered better by the courts than, God forbid, the house of a Muslim woman where there would be no profanity, no alcohol. But that's the way it goes sometimes.
Now, though, my ex-husband and I are very good friends. We're very close. He's almost quit drinking, as a matter of fact. He's doing very well because I persisted in treating him according to Islamic law. And so we are very close. It was very difficult for him to believe that I would have left him for a belief. At the time, he really thought I left him for another man. That was the only thing that he could imagine me changing for would be I had to be in love with another man. That's all he would believe, and so he hated me. He hated me terribly. But over the years, he came to realize there was no other man. There was a conviction and a different kind of belief. And so now we're very close. We're best friends. We visit each other on a regular basis. We stay in touch. If I need something, he's there for me. If he needs something, I'm there for him. Because he's a beautiful person. But he's not willing to be a Muslim. And so we can't go back together. A woman does not have the right to refuse to let her husband take a second wife. She does have the right to divorce. But polygamy is a very important part of Islam. And it's not that she is just saying no to the man, but she is saying no to a sister who may be in serious need. See, in Islam, we want for our sister what we want for ourselves. We want for our brother what we want for ourselves or for women. Okay? If you look at statistics here in the United States, which has the closest to a balanced population, you take and you marry every man who is ever going to marry a woman to a woman, and when you're finished, you still have better than 20 million women who are not married. Some of those women don't want to be married, but a large number of those women do want to get married. Now, Islam recognizes that a woman has needs other than for food and clothing, and she has a right to have those needs met. But the only way to meet those needs is through marriage, because any other way to meet those needs would be destructive to society. Okay, this leaves those 20 million women with several options. Number one, she can steal another woman's husband. But that really doesn't change the ratio, it's just a different woman that's sitting out. Okay, she can turn to another woman, which is not acceptable in Islam. She can live a life of deprivation, and this is when it's scientifically, medically proven not to be healthy for a woman to live a life of deprivation. Or she can share with her sister. Now, when we stop and think, if we want for our sister what we want for ourselves, that pretty well clarifies where we are supposed to be standing as Muslim women.
Yes, Sister Amina, the next thoughts of every show in a very nice question. The question is, the man is 100% responsible for the children. Then what is the responsibility of the wife?
Financial responsibility falls on the husband, okay? And for the wife, her responsibility is to be a good mother and to be a good garment. See, being a parent is a full-time job. It's a highly underrated profession. Highly underrated. Do you know that motherhood is the most powerful profession in the world? It is. See, a child's mind during the first 5 years is like a sponge. It absorbs everything. And their whole personality is formed in that first 5 years. Thank you. So when we are being parents, when we're being mothers, we are forming the direction for the universe. We're deciding whether the next generation is going to be builders or destroyers, warmongers or peacemakers, destroyers or ecologists. That makes this a very powerful profession.
It's a shame that so many people have this idea that parenthood is not important. It is. A woman shouldn't have to struggle and strive during the time that she is pregnant. She's pregnant and carrying this beautiful, wonderful future generation. She should be able to have the rest and the care that she needs in order to have a healthy child. She needs to be able to be rested and relaxed in order to nurse this child and nurture this child and help this child to develop and become all that it can be. The father's kind of cheated there because he's out earning the living. But motherhood is very important. The single most profound, powerful profession there is. You can look for short-term gratification, but don't forget the long-term, because that long-term, that can really give the benefits to you.
Well, I think actually if you looked around amongst these brothers that are right here, you'd get a pretty good example of that, okay? In that, well, they took me to eat when I first came here, okay? The meal had been prepared by the husband, who had also been taking care of the children, which includes changing diapers on a brand new baby, okay? Oh, yeah. One of the things that really impressed my ex-husband was when we went to a friend's home, Dr. Hussain. Dr. Hussain has 3 children, and his wife and his sister were in the kitchen getting the rest of dinner ready. And Dr. Hussain had first one child on his lap and then another child on his lap, and he's carrying on this conversation with my ex-husband this whole time, never missing a beat of the conversation as he's pulling up the pants on this one, adjusting the shirt on that one, giving this one a drink or whatever. And then he's sitting there talking, and he's got the baby bottle under his chin as he's nursing the baby and buttoning the shirt of the other child. Okay? They're very active in their role as father. They're very active with the children. The Muslim man recognizes that they're answerable to Allah for this child, and they want to put as much into this child as they can. And they spend a lot of time with their children. They have a very serious responsibility because of the fact that they know they answer before Allah.
So, now the next question, and I think must be from somebody in economics. And that is, you said that a man is financially responsible for the family. If the wife earns, and the emphasis is on if the wife earns equal amount, so the husband would still be considered financially dependent. Would inheritance laws be different if the husband is not financially responsible?
Well, you can't even go into what if on that, because that was stated by Allah, okay? The financial responsibility falls on the man no matter if his wife is richer than he is. If I get married, my husband does not have a right to 1 penny of my money. Even if I make 4 times what he makes, he doesn't have a right to any of that money except for what I choose to give to him as a gift. The financial responsibility remains on him, it's his, and nobody can take it away. If the wife chooses to lighten the burden and she's able to, then that's fine. But it doesn't release him from the responsibility. So the inheritance laws are not going to change because the responsibility is designated by God.
Yeah.
I have a question. What if a Muslim couple is married and the husband is working and then by way of a war or car accident or whatever is physically
Well, see, this is where if we were able to return to an Islamic society, there would not be a problem, because of the simple fact that his family would take the responsibility for the entire family, okay? And if he didn't have any family, the community at large would take the responsibility. Unfortunately, at this time, we do not have an Islamic society, so we do have a very serious problem in this. But I know from experience myself that the community does as much as they can to take the burden off of the women in whatever they can, even though there's no family involved.
So in the meantime, before this structure is
And until we have an Islamic state again, until we have an Islamic society,
women are still out.
we're forced to work. We don't have any choice in it. We have to survive. I have to work right now. I have a family to support. I have children. I have to work. I don't have to work as much as I probably would have to if I were not a Muslim, because the community is there to help us so much, so that I don't have to put in as many hours, and they're far more supportive in helping me to do the work. And this is a very rare occasion that I'm here without my youngest child. I don't travel without my children. Whenever I go to speak, my children go with me because they're my number one priority. They come before anything. And whatever job I have, they know my children come first. And that's a little bit hard for employers to take. But this is one of the things I'm trying to work on educating women about. First of all, women need to know what their rights are, and then we need to restructure this system to allow women their rights. Like the workplace needs to be restructured for the protection of the family and the children and the women. We need to get away from this attitude of 9 to 5, you work for me, you have no family. We always have a family, and when our children are sick, we're worried. We need to be with them. There are ways of restructuring workplaces to allow women to continue being mothers and work, and we have to make those changes. But the first step is for us to recognize that we have a right to be mothers first. And when we recognize that this is a God-given right, then we can start fighting to be allowed to be mothers, if that's what we choose to be. For those who don't want to be, that's fine. I'm not going to lay it on them. But those who want to be should have the right to choose. Liberated means free to choose. We lost our freedom to choose. We became apologetic about being mothers. I bet there are women here that have heard other women, if they haven't done it themselves, when they're talking about their profession, come across somebody who says, "Oh, I'm just a mother." Just a mother. Like something to be ashamed of, like something of no value. This is what's happened. Motherhood ceased to be looked at as a powerful and important profession it is. But our children have rights of the future. In Islam, one beautiful thing is that our children know from the beginning that heaven is at the feet of the mother. They know that they reverence the womb that bore them. But that's because we love and care for our children so much. My youngest is only 10, and he's all boy. Let me tell you, this is a wild child here, major energy. He's very quick to let people know that when he grows up and he gets married, his mother's going to live with him. He wants it. But he also has witnessed through our travels abroad the benefits of extended family. Okay? See, here we're taught again, you get married, you leave your family, they're finished. Now this is your new family. Okay, when you have an extended family, a lot of that extended family will serve to provide the support to the children and the women if they do need to or want to work. A lot of women like to work. Okay, if you've got your mother-in-law, your mother, or whatever, there at the house with you, it's very easy to go ahead and work because you know who's with your child. And you're having still the same basic principles and everything else that's being taught. I have a friend she's a doctor,
Okay, she has 3 children, and she loves her children, and she's really good with them, and she only works very short hours. Okay? I mean, she works very short hours right now. She has just a part-time practice, if you will. She's in practice with several other doctors, so she only has to work a few hours. But she has her sister-in-law living in the house with her and her husband. You know, there's 2 families living in the house. It's a big house. Because the sister-in-law, there's no way that you're ever going to get her to go outside of the house and work. She loves to clean house, she loves to cook, she loves to do everything else. So she takes care of the children. The children never have to go to a daycare center. They never have to go to a stranger. She never has to worry about who's taking care of them when they're sick, because she knows they're still in their own home, they're still with their own family, extended family. Makes such a difference.
How does a Muslim woman fit into a corporate type setting? You notice, how your dress is very modest, you have your hair covered, and many of the other Muslim women that I see are dressed in the same fashion. How can you fit into that type of life without compromising what you believe in and your position at work?
First of all, we're going to change the corporate structure. Okay, I'm not required to wear this. This isn't required. What's required is that I am dressed modestly and that my hair is covered, my arms are covered, my legs are covered, and there's a variety of ways of doing this. Now, I'm not always dressed like this. You have to understand, you're talking to a woman here who is an avid horseman. I love to ride, and I ride a lot. I go camping, I sail, I hike, and I can fit into any kind of a setting that I need to be without compromising my religion. And I can dress in a variety of different ways, staying within my religion. I like wearing this. I wear this because I like it. I'm comfortable like this. We are persecuted. In the workplace, we are persecuted. There is no 2 ways about it. People freak out when they see a woman with her head covered. They don't want her working for them. I lost some very good jobs because of that. But that's something that through education I think we can change. We've changed a lot of other things. The wonderful thing about this country is that when the people see that something is wrong, the people change it. So the people will eventually make a variety of changes. One is going to be changing the workplace to make it better for working mothers so that they can work without neglecting their families. Another is going to be that women are not persecuted because they want to dress modestly. But I could fit into a corporate structure and still maintain my Islamic dress. But I would have a problem finding a corporate structure that would be willing to accept it. And there's no 2 ways about that. That's a matter of education. And that's where we, the Muslims, have fallen down. We haven't provided the education. We're still looked at as terrorists. The hyphenated word Muslim terrorists. I did not wear this at the airport. I've learned from experience not to wear this in the airport. I have trouble getting on airplanes if I wear this to the airport. My bags are going to be searched, and I'm going to be taken into another room, and I will be searched, and I don't like those searches. So I take this off. But that's persecution, too, because I like to wear it. I'm comfortable wearing it. It's a very pleasant garment to me, but I have trouble. But it's a matter of education. We have to teach the people, I'm an American, and I'm a Muslim, and I'm not a terrorist. Terrorism isn't a part of Islam.
Sister Amina, we are
Are we
getting
gonna run out
very
of
close to
time?
the hour at 10. And it's a very interesting question. Let be the last question of the evening before we conclude it. And the question is that I am a Christian and I want to be a Muslim. But I cannot accept the Muslim belief that Jesus did not die on the cross, and they believe that Jesus is just a man, not the Son of God. Also, my husband is a strong Muslim, and I would like to know if it is wrong to go to movies, not R-rated, bowling, fishing, etc. I think my husband feels I need to be more discreet in public and limit my social activities. Is this his preference, or is this his kind of physical activity prohibited in Islam?
See, this was written before I said what I did a little while ago about my activities. Any activity that can be done in proper dress and with proper conduct, with modesty, and not in a way we're going to be having any kind of physical contact with a man, or that you're not going to be displaying your body or attracting undue attention to your physical attributes, is perfectly acceptable. Yes, there is.
Said that, why do we see more women in, high heels,
No, it's called a variety of different things. There is definitely a dress code for men. Whether you notice it or not, that's it. No, that's not what I'm saying, okay? We're not going to start a debate here. Not now. Maybe later. Maybe later, but not right now. Okay? A man does have a dress code. A man is not allowed to wear tight pants. And every one of you that is wearing tight pants, you know that you're doing wrong. And when you hit 50 and are non-functional, you're going to regret it. Circulation is very important. A Muslim man is not allowed to put on a shirt and then open it up down here to show off his hairy or non-hairy chest to draw attention to his physical attributes. That's wrong. It's forbidden. A man is not allowed to wear silk because silk is reserved for a woman. It's a feminine fabric, unless he has a skin problem, and then it's acceptable for him to wear. A man is not allowed to wear gold jewelry. A man is not allowed to wear clothing that's dyed with saffron. A man has to maintain a particular kind of a haircut, in that he's not allowed to go with his hair wild all over the place. And yeah, you look out here and you're going to see a lot of them that are dressed wrong. You know it. Okay? Maybe it's just that women have more guts. Maybe we have more courage. Maybe we're not afraid to stand up and say, I'm a Muslim and I'm proud of it. Okay? But then again, part of it in this country has to do with the man has this financial obligation, responsibility that he has a hard time meeting sometimes when he's identified as being a Muslim. And some of them are making a mistake of setting aside their Islamic dress in order to secure their financial security. You will lose in the end. I'm glad she said something because it gives me a chance to reprimand you. Because I see it. I look out here and I see a lot of them. But then I also see quite a few Muslim women in the room who are not wearing hijab too. So not all the Muslim women wear hijab. People have varying degrees of following any kind of a path or any kind of a system.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, that was
This
nice.
is the name of the closing the hour. Rather than close the hour, then we should be concluding the session. And thank you very much
To answer this.
for the trouble you took in coming to Iowa State University to give us this talk. I'm also thankful to GST for funding this lecture. And just as for the announcement,